Yeah. Let's do this. This is To Wit, a podcast for women in tech doing life. I am Melinda Smith, per usual.
Hello, I am Kristi Campbell.
Hi, friend.
Hello, we're still getting back in the rhythm of this, recording regularly nonsense, but
Sure.
we did wrangle up a guest this time.
Yes.
So I feel like
The
we're
more
moving.
fun thing is we talked to our guest 2 weeks ago.
Shh,
I mean,
no one would know.
and we were going to do our intro outro when you were here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was too hard.
We just had too much fun. Or we're tired.
Well, and I think it's a lot too that, like, we were hanging out with our partners too.
Yeah.
Like, see you later's. We're gonna go later out.
Yeah.
In a room for
Go
an hour.
away.
Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, and it's not like they couldn't hang out on their own. It just seemed a little like less than the last time when you were here, and it was just you and me, and like I don't know, Josh was flying or whatnot.
Yeah, and after baby girl went to bed, then yeah. So
yeah,
we didn't.
It's different.
But now we're home.
Nope.
And now we're doing it again.
Doing it.
I do want to say I feel like pretty proud of us that we have not cussed yet, but I do want to reflect back on we had somebody make a comment about how quickly we dropped the bombs, and it happened to be me, but it could have just as well been you in the first minute, and it was interesting because the the lovely and talented previous guest, Stephanie First, posted an interesting article about basically like that cussing more is a sign of higher intelligence, which of course I want to believe that's true, but there's like science and stuff too.
We see that all the time. And I mean, is it science or is it a validation of our potty mouth?
Well, and it's interesting too, because do you think it's really generational or like background deal?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Because I'm sure my parents.
I would say the company you keep.
Yeah. I mean, my parents. We had a dime jar that then became a quarter jar, that then became a dollar jar when I was a kid. I don't know.
I can't remember.
If you're my parents and you're listening to this, tell me if I'm embarrassing to you because I cuss so much. But
I don't think my dad did for sure. But he was a big old drunk coke user because like you have to. Who does blow and says, "Oh golly shucks," I don't think my mom was that a lot. I don't think my mom did a ton. I don't think my step did a ton. But I think it's definitely when you're younger and you're thinking you're cool. But I don't know. That is a really great question. I never really thought about like where does that come from? Is it the company you keep or where you live or maybe stuff you watch on TV? It falls out of my mouth a lot easier than, or I would say easier, naturally than I don't think about it.
Right. And it's funny. It's almost like a joke kind of at my new, well, not new anymore. It's been like 2 years, but like, how long it'll take before I meet someone new in the office that I haven't met and like before I cuss in front of people. But we had one vendor come on site and someone else cussed before me. And I was like, yes,
stop it.
But I feel
vindicated.
Well, and it was like good for the partnership, it was like, fuck yeah, so it was pretty funny.
Really appreciate it. Like when a client swears out the gate, I'm all, yes, thank you. Those are my people.
I think I may have talked about before that my coworker who has since abandoned me, even though she's lovely and just got a different job, but she realized I was really angry at work when I made up cuss words. So like if I was just doing like regular cussing, it just was like day-to-day nonsense. But if I was like, then that meant I was like real angry.
Yeah, I don't, that's a really interesting point because if I'm actually angry, I make a point not to swear. Like if like, let's say Josh and I are arguing or I'm arguing with a friend or like you said, a work situation, I don't swear unless it's like really critical in an argument because it feels accosting, I guess. Like I would never be like, the fuck do you mean? Like, that's too much. That's aggressive. But I'd be like, what
Mm.
in the hell do you mean? Like that's a really good point. I know I don't do it anymore because I've called myself on it too much, but I used to use dude a lot when I was angry. Like that was my go-to. Like, really, dude? Huh? Dude? Like, I don't know why, but like
So
dude
you
was
could
my
make
go-to
anything
angry
a
word.
cuss word, basically. If you
Yeah,
use,
it was all
it's
dudes.
all about tone. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't swear if I'm like angry because it's aggressive. And if you're trying to prove any point, I
Yeah.
feel like you start swearing and it kind of takes all the zing out of it. But like if I'm trying to prove a point in normal conversation, I feel like they're necessary. It's interesting dichotomy of the swearing.
This is clearly a topic for another day because we can keep talking about it and swearing. But for those of you who ignore the explicit tag, I don't know what to tell you. Go listen to the Tony Prophet
Hi.
episode. That's all we got.
Yeah, not suitable for Frank. There, Stu.
Um,
Give him the NSF. I don't know. It's too hard.
NSFW.
Too many letters. Not suitable for Frank. NSFF.
Oh,
Suitable for
suitable
Frank.
for Frank.
His son. Yes.
Um,
His lovely, wonderful son. I'm going to start. So this lovely guest that we have, which you already saw in the tagline, it's not like a super secret now, LaRon, who is an amazing soul. I got to spend a little bit of time with at Southeast Dreamin'. We bonded over unicorn slippers that she actually did win. I'm not jealous. It's not even a little bit. They want to fit me. I don't even care. And she has an amazing story and an amazing past. She's a vet. She is a
she's
3 times Smurfs vet.
so
Or
she's on the Vet Force dang new rebranded homepage. She's in
yes,
the Vet
this
Force
is true.
banner.
Yep. 4 times certified. And I don't want to take away from it. She tells a lot about her story and perseverance and I'm gonna get this shit done attitude, honestly.
It was great to meet her at Southeast Dreamin'. I feel like it was, I want to say the end of day 1 or day 2 for me. And, by then you kind of like don't even know your own name anymore, especially when it's your event and you've just been running around and you're just tired. And we sat, but then the hotel bar kind of becomes the Ohana bar. And so we sat down and she was next to us and was just talking like, yeah, I got, thank you for giving me, somebody gave her a pass and she just was like, just
Oh,
so
that's right.
happy and chatty and was so thankful to be there and was telling her story. And so when we kind of were ramping back up, I was like, we need to remember to get her
Really
on.
great
So
energy.
yeah. So let's do it.
Welcome, LaRon Butler, to the show. Hey, LaRon.
Hey,
Welcome to the Two Wit podcast.
thank you for having me.
I haven't seen you since
I know.
Southeast Dreamin'.
Yeah, I've been low key.
Well, and we haven't been in the same state, so there's that. So, hi.
Hi.
Welcome as our first guest back from vacation, back from mini hiatus.
We were talking about who we wanted to talk to. And I was like, do you remember when we were sitting at the bar in Atlanta talking to LaRon? It was so much fun. We should have her come talk to us.
Awesome.
That's the super high-tech way that we choose our guests.
Thank you for thinking of me and for having me on here today.
Yeah, for sure. You had a great story about getting there too. Just like, I feel like it was just a great example of, why don't you tell the story better than me telling the story of you telling a story?
So I hear all these great stories on when they make the front covers of, the New York Times and
Salesforce
stuff.
Weekly? Oh, no. Yes.
And all everywhere. And I'm like, it feels so dark and I try to stay light, but ultimately, I was going through a transition in my life. I had prior IT experience, but I went through this divorce, and it was like cutting my hair off. Like, I'm just going to start this new career that's commission based, and it didn't work out so well. So I had to make some hard decisions, and I found Salesforce, and I didn't take it seriously at first. I started a little bit here and there. I think that's like the going theme is no one takes it serious. Um, Fiddled around, and then I was like, you know what? Let me try to do development.
Sure, why not?
And so I paid. Yeah, so I paid this astronomical amount of money to try to learn development skills, but I had no admin skills. So I realized like halfway through, like I need to take a step back, right? And so I ultimately made a few phone calls to Salesforce because I wanted to find out if I could like use my GI Bill, and they're like, we have this program, it's free, and I was like, free, and it was Vet Force. So I ultimately got signed up in Vet Force. Took my time until, my back was against the wall. And, ultimately, I had to put everything down and just focus, you know. Um, it was getting to the wire. I had lived out of my savings. I had lived through my retirement, and I was coming up on the last month of rent. And I just put my head low and just dug in deep and kept going until I hit, kind of like just start swinging.
Just
So
all in.
yeah, I had to be all in. And I still had the ability to generate income, doing real estate. But I knew if I tried to juggle both that I wouldn't be successful, in Salesforce. So I just sat everything down and I dug deep. I got my first cert. I failed the first time.
Same.
And yeah. And so I was like, I've got to, there was this like job fair coming to Atlanta in 3 days. And I was like, I have to pass. So I literally took my test the night before the job fair and I passed it. But,
Boom.
if I think back, I mean, there were so many elements that, so many challenges that I faced. And I was like, man, can I do this? Can I do it? Is this ever going to work out for me? And ultimately, after I got the first cert, I started job hunting and I wasn't landing anything. So I was like, okay, what can I do to level up some more? And I found out about Mervis. I talk about Mervis a lot. They're near and dear to my heart. And I met what I now call my family. Each and every person that I've interacted with has helped me in some way, whether it's just motivation, whether it's practice interviews. I've had a few challenges, technical challenges. We'll get on Zoom and Skype, but ultimately I found Mervis and I just like, okay, let me level up. What can I do next? So I went for app builder. I didn't have, I had to borrow money to get to Texas because it was either you come to Texas or you don't have this opportunity. So I had to borrow money to get there. I had probably like $100 to my name. And of course, one of my girlfriends lives nearby, so I had the $100 to my name, but she wanted to party and hang out. She wanted to party and hang out. So what I usually do is try to get there like 2 days, a day or two early and hang out with my girlfriend and then go to class, Well, it kind of blew through the few dollars I had between just eating and, drinking,
Worth it.
And so my classmates really put their arms around me. I shared, my story, but, I was able to, I'm a hustler. So, me and a few of my classmates was like, let's go in on an Airbnb. That's really the only way I was able to afford to even go. And I got the, the $79, Frontier tickets, where you can't bring any bags and you got to stuff
You
like
bring
your
them
whole
peanuts?
week's worth of stuff in the backpack.
You can't breathe, like full deep breaths the entire flight. Shallow breaths.
Absolutely. So, but I made it. And, and it was a great experience. And then, I had some really cool leaders.
They're great, yeah.
In my class, one of which, I'm always name dropping these people because I really love them and I care about them. But David Nava, he's a superstar. And he was in my class and he just motivated me to really I thought I was working hard until I found out how hard he was working. So I was just like, well, if he's doing this at 3:00 in the morning every day while he's on active duty and have a part-time job, I can do these things. I can make Ranger and I can study for another cert and do these things. So I got back home and I really took it seriously, but I will say something that, um, you know, I have some buddies, they help me eat dinner, because everybody wanted to go to fancy restaurants. And I'm sitting here like I was ready to go to like Publix and buy some lunch meat, or what is it called out there? It's not
HEB,
Publix in Texas. It's
the heave.
HB.
it be, H.
HEB. Sure.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
drop vowels around here. It's cool.
exactly.
Like
And
I'm from Boston.
HEB, the Heb, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that was my plan. Like, I'm gonna get some lunch meat, and I'm just gonna stick it through. And they really like took care of me and understood my journey and what I was going through and what I was trying to do. And so everyone dug deep, to mentor me and to, um, try to find job opportunities, because I was very honest and transparent about what I was experiencing and what I would be experiencing if I didn't find employment and things like that. So I just took it serious, and I really went hard, and I knew, I had to network. So, you know, I realized like Texas has this big, powerful community, and Atlanta,
Huge.
we have a community, but it's a little different, So I just came back and got involved. I shared my journey and that I was going to Mervis. And believe it or not, like a lot of people in Atlanta were like, well, how can we go and get involved? So now I've got like this pipeline of people from Atlanta that are now starting to go to Texas, and it's just an amazing opportunity. So with that, I just dug deep. I probably did about 50 interviews. I got better. I'm telling you, I got better over time.
Yeah.
I had some tough criticism, that I didn't want to hear, but I did it, and while I was going through it, it felt like forever, but once I actually landed my first job and I looked back, I was like, it really wasn't. After you got a few paychecks, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. But when you're going through
but
it
when
and
you're
you're like,
contemplating lunch meat for a week, you're like, why is this taking so long?
absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, every chance that, still with that, I would make it to, interviews with some great companies. I was, in the top 3, for selection, but be it when you're just getting started, and this story is relevant to a lot of people, when you're just getting started, and especially for me, I, felt like as a woman and a woman of color that maybe it was going to be that much harder for me, which is why I really dug deep and knew that I needed to level up, and that I couldn't, when the admin thing wasn't working, it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Sit here and wait, or I'm going to go, push forward. And so that's what I did. I continued to do that. I went back.
Where'd you land a job at?
Where? With the ISV company. I'm not working with them now. I've done a few projects, and we've done some contracting. That's what I'm doing right now. But that was my first opportunity, real opportunity.
Yes, contractor.
Yeah, so I'm doing some contract work. So what I decided, right? So ultimately, I was doing some marketing before I got into Salesforce. Social media marketing, digital marketing. And so I knew that I was going to end up in marketing. Like all along, I knew this, but I just thought that I had to like go admin and then app builder and just go this process that, everyone seems to take. But in my heart, I just knew that I wanted to do marketing. And every time marketing was brought up, like my face would light up.
Yes.
And say that again.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
So like, I just, I was really putting it to the side because I felt like I would get to it eventually, And so now that I'm still navigating the job sphere and still understanding that there's so many things out here for you to do, and so many different directions to take my talent.
Yeah.
And, I gave a few things a try now, and I'm like, okay, this is for me, And so I've come to that conclusion that it's marketing automation. And I want to be in that marketing space.
Yes.
And so right now I'm currently working on a Pardot project, and I am getting ready to take my Pardot email specialist. And I also,
Well, Atlanta's the place to be for Pardot, man.
yes, yes.
I mean, the office was there, so like that's funny. I was first thinking that Stephanie First and Andrea Terrell with Sir Conte are there, so you've got the marketing peeps, but also like the Pardot office that is now the Salesforce office.
Yes, so I'm definitely trying to grow my chops now. I've used some other ESPs before, which is what made it so easy and probably the logical progression for me. But I just didn't think that was how it worked. Like, I never really understood how people got into marketing when I met people like Stephanie. I just didn't know, like, how did she end up there? So I kind of thought, like, you had to be an admin first and then choose to go there. But when I realized Mervis actually just recently offered a marketing cloud class, and then I also started learning Pardot with Cheshire Impact and things like that. And I realized, like, I don't have to go that way, and it feels what comes most natural for me. So that's kind of where I am. I know I probably skipped around a little bit, but I mean, ultimately, I went from being self-employed and underemployed, to just fighting my way through, learning what I can learn, doing everything I could do, to, interviewing after interview. And I get this interview anxiety, right? And maybe it's from my military days, but I get this anxiety where I like over prep, 3 days in advance. I'm like calling people like, can you interview me? Can you do you know what I mean? Because I want to be good, but it's so much stress and I hate it, right? And I know most people don't like interviewing, but I just did so many interviews and I'm like, please make it in, please make it in. So it just felt like forever, it felt like forever. And it was definitely challenging. Waiting on the rejections. They don't reject you right away. They make you wait 2 weeks. One
Well,
company.
is there something about like your the programs that you're in with Vet Force and Maravitz? Do you feel like there's something about the military background that makes people successful as admins or developers? Like, do you think that there's something that translate from the people that gravitate to one gravitate to the other?
No, not necessarily. I think it's a work ethic thing. Like, I joined the military at 17. Most of my buddies, they grew up in this environment where you just had to figure it out, right? I mean, yes, sometimes you have great leadership, sometimes you don't. But it was one of those things like, if you don't get it done, you don't go home. And so you might do it wrong, you might not do it right, but you figure something out, like you make a move, you don't stand still. And I feel like for me, that was, I just have this drive that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You know what I mean? Like, there was no way I was gonna, after putting in all the effort, and going through some of the disappointment where, like, I didn't finish the dev. Well, I technically finished it, but I didn't.
I can copy. Sometimes I feel like that on Trailhead. Like, I got this badge because I can copy paste, like, and I can follow directions. But I don't know if that's the goal. But I think it's an interesting idea of, like, yes, anyone can learn on Trailhead, right? And yes, we can. Anybody can get started, I guess. But I was just curious if there's something you feel like is like a common thread that helps vets be successful in IT or in this Ohana.
I have an IT background, but most of my peers in the Vet Force community don't. And so, like, I've been in telecommunications and IT for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But of course, we were on-prem. It was Microsoft. It's changed. But still, I do have that background. And many people are coming out after being HR or logistics, things like that, mechanics, and they're having really great success. And I imagine all those skills play a part. And also, I do think that, I feel that you have more success if you kind of go into a niche that you already know. I feel like that transition is almost that much easier.
Sure.
And so, like, because I don't want anyone to go through what I experienced, 8 months of a job search, You know, I tell, like, my sister is a certified admin now.
Yeah.
And yes,
Keeping
also,
it in
but
the
she's not a vet, so I
family.
couldn't like push her through vet board. So she went through Pep Up Tech. She just completed their most recent cohort, and I'm super proud of
Nice.
her.
Woohoo!
And so, you know, it's very competitive. You know, even trying to volunteer is not even that easy anymore. And so her background is like finance. She was going to school to be an accountant. So I'm like, you need to learn CPQ. You
Yes.
leverage your financial background. And so that's what I'm starting to see, a trend that if they can take those skills that they already have, and then couple them with, you know, a cloud in Salesforce, or something that's closely related, it's much easier. And so what I found when I turned to marketing, I can speak all day, and it doesn't take me 50 interviews. But when I was trying to do admin and I didn't really have that much experience, and one, I'm very transparent. So trying to fake my way through does not work for me. Like my face, my voice, everything kind of gives it away.
You're very photogenic too, as I've been stalking you on the internet.
Thank
Just
you.
saying.
Thank you. So, you know, I've tried to, I will tell you, like, I've shot a few videos and done a little, you know, some marketing for my personal endeavors, you know. And one thing that I applaud you guys for having the show and committing to it, because it's something that I've always wanted to do in terms of like a long-standing show, but I just don't feel like now's the right time. So I'm glad to be a guest, and hopefully I look cute.
You do
For
look
us, really, because that's all that matters.
Okay. So if you
No,
don't mind me digging into your personal
let's
life
go.
and you
Let's
can
do
choose
it.
not to answer anything, why did you join the military at 17? You're a baby.
Well, funny that you would ask. So one of my girlfriends, I grew up in New York, Long Island, New York, and one of my girlfriends who I looked up to, she was older than me, about 5 years older than me. Um, I actually went to Job Corps at the tender age of 16. So I finished early, a year. I finished school a year early than my peers. So when I got out of Job Corps, they were still the seniors in high school. So I went to college right away. And when I was there, I was like the 17-year-old who didn't belong, you know, and everyone was like mature and, you know, and I was like a loner, and I
Yes.
was just there. And my girlfriend had just joined the Army, who I really looked up to. Rest in peace. She has passed away. And the recruiter was there, you know, and I just happened to be in a math class, which I hate statistics. And so I was like just wandering. I couldn't focus, you know. And so I was wandering the hallways, and I seen a recruiter, and I stopped to talk to him. And I remembered my girlfriend's in the Army. I called her up, you know, probably that night on the landline, and was just like, what do you think? You know, we were writing letters back and forth. And when she gave me the okay, I was gone. Like my mother had to sign me away, and I literally gave her the business because she did not want me to leave college.
Right.
You know, she's like, "Oh, you're in college, you know, a year, you know,
Well,
ahead of your
sure.
peers." I was like, "I'm out of here," you
But
know.
you
And
know, as a mama, like you don't want your baby to go.
yeah, well, she didn't have too much of a choice, because I probably would have signed her name if
No.
she hadn't signed it away. I was ready to go. And so,
Yeah.
and it was probably the best decision that I've ever made.
Nice.
Yes,
How
yes.
long were you in?
In total, I did 9 years. I did 4 years active duty and 4 years National Guard. However, we got activated and went to war during that time. So almost 6 active, um, another
Did you go to
3.
war?
Yes, I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. So I've been a soldier, a DoD contractor, a GS civilian, and a military spouse. So my entire adult life from
Wow.
17 till about 3 years ago when I got divorced has been in service in some way. So like when I came back, I was in Korea for 2 years. So my daughter, she's 5 now. She spent the first 2.5 years. Well, you know, we went over there. She was small, and we spent 2 years in Korea. So believe it or not, when we moved to Atlanta, it was a huge adjustment for her. You know,
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and it was awesome. Like I really miss Korea, but I love the fact I've lived so many places. Um, unfortunately, I went through a divorce and I was ready to get home.
Yeah.
Um, And so I'm like, let me cut this hair off and, let me try real estate because that's what I've been wanting to do for, a lifetime, which I probably could have waited. And in hindsight, I probably should have waited. And so when you're newly single, trying to get your life together, the last thing you need to be doing is living on commission only. And
Yeah, for
that
sure.
was the
It's
mistake
so
I made.
hard. Commission only is so hard.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's just anxiety filled. Like
so I had to I would get a check and I had to split it over 3 months, just to make sure. And it was a lot. And I was like, I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So when I realized, when I did my research on Salesforce and I realized it was a game changer and I hear all the stories, and I started really, monitoring the Dreamforce interviews that are online, and I was just like, this is what I need to be doing, and it, of course you wait until your back is almost against the wall before you dig deep, and that's exactly what happened. I knew about it. I was half in, half out, but it wasn't until my back hit the wall that I was like, okay, it's grind time, and I didn't look up, and I didn't look back, and I still haven't looked back, so it's great experience. I would recommend anyone, you know, especially veterans, to take advantage of Vet Force, but anyone to take advantage of Trailhead. And I BAM all the time. I thought about even starting my own group, but then I realized that's a lot of work and maybe I'm not there yet. But yeah, I'm constantly, advocating and evangelizing this program, this platform. And really though, it's the community. If it wasn't for the community to make, keep me motivated, when I see people do nice things for each other, and just always so helpful, you have that sense of duty to share that with other people. So
the lifting up. Do you feel like you got a community that maybe you had left behind when you left the service? Because I assume that the love and the camaraderie that you have in the service, I'm not equating the two, but it's probably nice to have that community back where strangers have your back, no matter what.
Absolutely. That camaraderie, I think leaving the military, anyone who's in the military, if they don't admit this, it's a love-hate relationship.
I'm sure.
You enjoy it sometimes and you hate it sometimes. Nobody wants to be out doing PT at 5:00 in the morning. You know what I mean?
I don't do anything at 5.
It's dark.
Maybe a few, but exactly. Most normal people, don't want to be, in the cold. So definitely a love-hate relationship. But the thing that makes it so great, and the thing that most people miss when they get out, is the people, the camaraderie, almost like what we have here in the Ohana. It's just a little different, just a little bit more, tough.
Nobody makes you get up at 5.
But
right.
Sometimes they put your dance video to the security rap on the internet. Please tell me more about this Maravitz suite.
Oh my gosh. So we had the rapping instructor, right? And I know we all watching.
No, not right. I don't know who this person is. Give me some there's a rapping instructor.
Oh, yes, Brian.
He has a security rap.
Correct. So he teaches Marketing Cloud. And let me tell you, by far, now I've had some cool instructors because I've taken up so many classes at this point. But he by far is freaking hilarious. He makes us laugh. He takes these cool breaks where we get to watch funny skits of Family Feud. And, he's got this rap. So we knew we were going to get this rap, right? So, but he's like, I'm going to make up a personalized rap before the class is over. And I was like, okay, and it happened to be my birthday that week. And that was super duper special to be there during my birthday. It was definitely in my top 3 from my lifetime birthdays and experiences. But yeah, so he has this rap that's all over Twitter. Everywhere he goes, he does the security rap. So we were like, yeah, we're going to get this rap, But of course, he had to, I would say Hector. So Hector is one of the founders of Mervis, and he wanted
Mm-hmm.
to like show out, you know. So they're like, we got to do a video. Of course, I have to be in it. And when I look back at this video, I'm like, why did I do this? Like, what was I thinking? I'm so like, I was almost afraid to post it. Like, that's how. You know, it's one thing when you do stuff in a closed room and we laugh and it's over, but it's another thing when you look back at it. But
And
yes,
3.3 thousand people have watched it.
really. Oh,
Because
MG. So,
Meravitz, heck and Kate get it done, man.
man, so they're just a special group of people. Um, they're definitely a special group of people. I actually want to. So yeah, so he did this rap for me, right? And he made customized a birthday rap, and it was LaRon Ron Ron. I was like, what? So it was funny to be a part of that. And then, you know, every time every time we go to Mervis for that 1 week of, you know, class in person classroom, they have a mixer, you know, and in this mixer, we get to meet other alumni who like live nearby or who want to show up. We get to meet the board members, and they usually have like some kind of company, a sponsor and or like a company that's looking for a talent, you know, and they set up this nice mixer, and it's just a time where we, you know, we're in class all week where we get to kind of relax and just hang out, and not just hang out but network. That's a better term. We network. Yeah,
that's the work term for kicking it.
Exactly. But for me at this point, I feel like I've met most people, so the new classes though, I make sure I get to know. But the first time I was there, like I was adamant, like I was gonna network and meet every single person in the room. And at the end of the night, I was walking away and I looked back and I was like, I didn't meet him, you know, and I was like about to cry, like what that could be my opportunity. But yeah, so like I was very deliberate. I was very, very deliberate in everything I did because I knew it just takes, you know, one opportunity or one interaction or one conversation, and I needed it bad, you know. I really did.
And
So
now you don't
yeah,
have just $100 to your name. Though I
I
really have to tell you how much I respect that you took that 100 and was like, I do gotta kind of hang out though too.
If you're gonna stay at her house,
I mean, like,
yeah. So
I
yeah,
gotta
she
hang
let
out
me
a
stay at her
little.
house, and you know my girlfriends, and I swear I owe them the world, and I can't wait till I can give them the world. You know, between they, you know, feeding me and, you know, they want to go out to eat. And I'm like, you know, maybe we shouldn't go here,
Do
you
they
know?
have free bread? Is what I need to
Exactly. Like,
know.
so yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, it's pretty awesome. And like the whole community and all of my friends and most people who know me, like I have a pretty solid background, right? So to see me going through it, I think the people who, not my new friends, not my new family, but people who really know me, they really um were willing to do anything to help me, you know. And so
As you would them, I'm sure.
yeah, lending me, yes, absolutely, and lending me like $500, like go get your training, you know, like that was a big deal. And you know, to even have to ask or to accept a handout or whatever like that, it means a lot. You know, you know, I've had other people like Christian. You know, he knew you know, I couldn't afford to go to Southeast Dreaming. You know, he made some phone calls. I don't know what he did, but he figured out how to get me a ticket. And I cried. Like, I
Aw.
cried. I shared it with our class because I kind of just met him, but we were like talking regularly because we were about to, you know, be a part of this cohort together and stay in an Airbnb together. So our friendship was blossoming before we actually met in person. And, you know, like I said, I'm very transparent. And so, you know, just sharing what I was going through, um, everybody, you know, they wanted to help. If they were in a position to help, they wanted to help. And I think, you know, I hope that because I'm transparent and I'm honest and, you know, people, one, I want to acknowledge the support they've given me, you know, and I want other people, you know, I want to be able to pay it forward, you know, and things like that. So, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy to say that I didn't have any money and I had to borrow money and I drank my last $100. So probably not the whole
Girl after
100.
my own heart. That will be on my headstone, like her last $1.
So yeah, but I needed it, after
Yeah.
interviewing
Oh,
so
yeah.
much, and then to finally get a break. Mind you, I have a 5-year-old, so sometimes I can't even, I try to take meetings and I'm on mute, praying that when it's time to unmute, she's quiet in the background.
Yeah.
But I figured it out now. She's in after school.
Yes.
So
It
she's
gets easier, I promise.
Absolutely. And she enjoys it.
And it sounds like you found kind of a different approach, right? I think that's a really important thing. We don't all do the same things. Some people, it's funny, my boyfriend is in IT, and the idea of he's like, you have to talk to so many people all day. And it's yeah, that's how you get requirements. That's how you think up the solutions for things. And he's like, yeah, too much talking to people. But yet,
less talky,
but
more
I need
punchy.
a less talky guy for me to tell the things to, and then he does the things that comes back, and then so you need all those pieces. So it's a really interesting, and I think there's a similar hierarchy in relationship of you kind of depend on other people, and so it's.
And I know that our listeners cannot see, as we say often. I like how I reiterate that because, duh.
I mean, they probably can, maybe, but they just can't see us.
But on your shelf behind you in your office, I love that you have Cody next to your framed flag. I think that that's a very beautiful indicate,
I did that for you guys. No, I'm just playing. It's been up there.
She planted a Cody in the background to see if you'd know.
When were you given the flag?
I just got, so this flag I got for my service in Iraq. The unit gave all of us when we returned from Iraq, this flag, American soldier flag, in a nice case. And then I just got Cody from World Tour Atlanta just about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a new piece on the shelf. I thought it looked great,
It does.
So I feel like the Atlanta community, in my mind, they just can, they have larger user groups, right? So have you met a lot of local people that have been helpful on this journey, an additional layer of the family?
Absolutely. So 2 of my favorite people in our local community are Michelle Bura and Ben Fuller.
Name drop.
No, seriously. Similar kind of thing, they're seniors in the community. Michelle just got her golden hoodie, but even before that, I was dying. I was so excited for her because a year ago she was helping me, she was doing mock interviews. I did my first volunteer event with her in one of her nonprofits, and just seeing how much she gives to this community selflessly. And she's not one of those people that's on Front Street, you would never know who she is, but she's a giver. And I've had to call her several times to say, I'm interviewing, do you know these people, or, can you help me? And she's really good. She's really talented. She's helpful and very humble. And I think that's what draws me to her, is because she's humble and she's not looking for recognition. She's not doing it for that, She just does it and it's genuine. And so I really appreciate that. And then also another community leader is Ben Fuller. And he, for some reason, we just hit it off, and he's awesome. And he's really funny, on social media, on LinkedIn. And he's got this group of people around him. And he's a superstar, and for whatever reason, he pulls us in. He networks, he drops our names,
I love it.
Apparently, I'm the marketing cloud expert, so he, but he does it from his heart, and he really is helpful, and because of that, I'm sure there's a few people who know who I am now who wouldn't have known me otherwise. And so I just went to one of his whiz op events just yesterday. It's a bunch of marketing and sales operations. It's like a subgroup. But I'm really, I'm involved in Salesforce Saturday, And I also thought about starting my own group. I'm soliciting help to get, more vets and more people of color involved. And so it's still in the making, it's still in idea and planning phase, and so hopefully we'll be able to go live.
Okay.
Early.
Put it out there. And
I'm
then
going to
maybe
say
it'll
early
happen.
2020 because 2019. Yeah, absolutely. So, I just, especially being a woman of color in tech, and being in Atlanta, and to walk through, certain environments and not see many people that look like me. I'm the only woman of color there, or I go, I've done some tours and things, and I don't see very many people that look like me. And I know that there's room and opportunity and space for us, and some people don't know that the opportunity for Trailhead and things like that are here. So I just share whenever I can.
I love it. It's like paying it forward.
Absolutely.
So I know in this last year that, sometimes you've been searching for work and sometimes you've been actually doing the work. But in this time, have you had like, oh crap, that was terrible, like your biggest Salesforce screw up, which is as you know, the typical question we ask people. Did you get on Pardot and send 1,000 opt-out people an email?
Not yet. Knock on wood.
We don't have to
Not
put it
yet.
out there.
Well, you would.
Not yet.
You're gonna do something dumb because literally everyone has an answer. So when it happens, don't worry, you'll be in good company.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to keep a job right now. So I gotta be extra, extra careful to keep everything paused, right? And but what I will tell you is very, very recently, I had to take a freaking psychometric test. Have you ladies had to do that?
I mean,
no, but I love that both Melinda and I turned our heads like when the dog's listening to you tell a story.
I mean, I go to therapy. I feel like that's a psycho test all the time.
Gosh. Boy, oh boy. So I'm like, well, what is a psychometric test, And so it's a requirement to go to the next level with a particular company. And apparently there are other companies, or maybe lots of companies, that are doing this now. Mm. And so of course they give you some practice links. I had anxiety. Like, please don't make me do this, So I'm like, all right, I'm going to knock out these practice tests. So I go through the other practice areas and I get to the numerical part, which is the math, right? We talked about me and statistics walking out of class years ago. And here we are at the numerical. And let me just tell you, these tests, they are like 15 minutes. You've got like 75 seconds for this question and 60 for the next. And there's like no, big loud number or buzzer or whatever that starts and like, okay, I have this much time. So it's like you're trying to read a scenario, figure out how to calculate it, and get the right answer. But the worst part is not that you can't get the answer, is that you can't click the buttons. There's drop downs. It just takes up so much time. So believe it or not, I think I failed it. And I'll let you know if they offer me the job.
So according to the Google machine, it's a standard and scientific method used to measure individuals' mental capabilities and behavioral style. Right. To determine if you have suitability for a role based on personality and aptitude.
Yeah, so
they have a lot of pressure.
They have a personality part, but that's the easy part. It's the timed numerical. I mean, there's some arrows, they're going in 18 different directions and you have to find a pattern. And I think I did okay there. I actually did, on the practice test, I probably did above average. But when you're taking the real test, and then there's this buzzer that's like, like you can't even you can't even move on. You can't even move on to the next question. There's like a pop-up, like a sign is like, like you're at the range or something. All my vets out there, like the pop-ups at the range, they pop up in there. And so, but the biggest challenge is navigating the drop downs and getting to the answers, right? And so if you click the wrong answer and you're like, you want to change it, you can just forget about it. No. The way you unclick to go to click the right answer is like backwards of what you would normally do. So you think you just click onto the right answer, and I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like they should use a different platform.
Yes,
I
needless
know
to say,
someone.
I probably didn't do so well. I probably failed that thing. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know. But yeah, that was something that was very recent. I was just like, do I really have to do this? Like, I was trying to figure it out. Like, okay, maybe I can watch a YouTube video. Like, maybe I did the practice test like 2 or 3 times and I still couldn't pass it. And I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to fail forward here.
You're like, fail forward. I like it. Fail forward. Thank you so much for coming and visiting us.
Yeah, we're all going to pause now and take a test that we just Googled.
No, I'm not taking that.
Oh my goodness. I hope you never have to. I mean, it was, it was 15 minutes, but it was the longest 15 minute or the shortest 15 minutes. I don't even know how to, like, I'm still confused about it, but it was an experience. And
well, listen, girl, you got the aptitude, so I don't even care what that test says.
Yeah, the test is stupid.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to chat with us.
Thanks for hanging out.
For having me.
I mean, I just feel like that's just crazy story, but in a great way.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel the perseverance and the just the dedication to, you know, really, like, I personally can't have an experience leaving the service and that kind of structure and understanding, you know, how that changes in civilian life. But I'm very thankful for programs like Marivis that are working with vets and spouses to help them skill up and translate those skills that are assets into something that, you know, makes sense in Salesforce land.
Well, and like having your last dollar and saying like, I'm going to put this towards my future instead of feeling sorry for yourself. I mean, granted, we do a little drinking on it too, because a girl's got to live, but like not feeling sorry for yourself or, I don't know, like that was not even an option to her. Like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go out there and meet people. I'm going to get my certification. I'm going to find a job. Like, it gives, I just always find so much joy in the perseverance of the human spirit and people to persevere when, I mean, shit's low. It's down.
And you keep on keeping on. And like you said, with such a great attitude.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see her again at Southeast Freeman next year. And
yes,
who knows where before then?
You never know.
Ooh, who knows?
I know. I mean, I tried to hit her up for her slippers. No, maybe I don't take something that she rightfully won. Maybe we could play a game for it, or I could just buy my own damn slippers. It's not the point, though.
But then it's not the same.
No, when you win them, it's better. Better. So the interview was great. I don't want to take up a ton more time. I do want to talk about the fact that I learned when you were here that you collect smashed pennies, and I feel like that's a very fun little odd thing I should have known about you. Like, how many do you have?
Oh, I should keep in mind when I do like 2 truths and a lie. That should be one of my facts.
Side note, I did 2 truths and a lie at a party. All right, so here's the deal. You all know me. I mean, like, I'm very upfront and outgoing, but I think sometimes I dole it out a little too fast. And I went to a girl's Galentine's party in February and met new girls, and we were just bonding and having a great time. So it's like I definitely felt like we were close already. And we did 2 truths and a lie, and I dumped some real shit on them. And they were like, what? Which one's
maybe
mine?
the second
I don't like any of these. And I was like, that's not funny anymore. Did I just reveal some weird stuff? Okay, cool. Whose turn is it? It's not my turn
anymore. Yeah. You're all right. Everyone drink. Yeah, so okay, so they sell little books that you can put the pennies in. And I have
that's amazing.
I have at least 2 full books, maybe 3 full books. And then I forget, I put them in my purse and stuff, and I forget to take them out. So, but it's a 51-cent souvenir. usually, sometimes $1. But I don't know, they're fun. And there's an app that is basically just pennycollector.org, I think, or .com. And there's a whole website. Yeah. And it will tell you. So like if I was in Idaho Springs and I looked up, there was 2 locations on the street I was on. And so, yeah. So I got some pennies and yeah, it's just a great,
if there was a book in an app, I'd be a smash penny collector too. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was unaware.
I mean, let's be real. The app is from a website from like the 80s. Like it's not super high tech, but people like it shows you which designs are there and like when it was last verified because sometimes they go out of service or whatever. And yeah, it's like real.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Do you have to collect it on your own? Can someone give it to you?
No, some people have given them to me. So one of the books I started, I don't know if I filled a whole book, but a lovely friend of mine from Boston would, and other people, but mainly Heidi, would send me some. So I have one from places from Holland. I've never even been there.
Ooh,
I have a smashed euro from when I was in London. If you ever need change, it's nice to have a shiny penny.
I am so in. I think they do it at the zoo. I'm going to have to do that soon.
Yeah.
So before we get into our super fave, I want to let our lovely listeners know that the goal for 2020 is an international trip by the To It. Not sponsored, not cuz, but we want to go to an international event and possibly go together. So I'm just saying, just putting it out there that we're going to try and do an event together. I thought it would be fun. And we'll record, right? I don't know.
We always say
I don't want to make that commitment.
It can be tough.
We were in the same room for a week and couldn't make it happen.
That's true. I mean, but that's okay. You still learned something new about me. So there you go.
I did. So I will start on my super fave. You are the one that invited me to this Facebook group. It's the ADHD Facebook group. So I'm sure I've spoken about it, but I was only recently diagnosed, I would say in the last year, with this new therapist I have. I just didn't know. And I think it's a lot of those things. Maybe if it's not like I don't know. I don't want to equate it to anything and degrade any other kind of diagnosis, but I kind of always just thought I was high strung, I was quirky, I was these things. Fine, which is fine. But the struggles that I've had that come with ADHD, I didn't realize that those are like for real things. I just was hard on myself, or I felt like a loser, or really, really critical of my own self about not being able to do a task or do a thing. I can do something over here to, 1,000%, but I can't do something as simple as like get a report out that I need to get done that I've been trying to do all week. So after the diagnosis, it was very kind of freeing, like, oh, I am not off or broken. Yeah. It's a thing. And then you introduced me to this group, and it is an entire group of nothing but ADHD memes, and they give me life, and they're hilarious. And I've never had something so freaking relatable. Like, oh my God, people do that too. Like the one that I posted the other day, or like the topic where I was like trying to fill the water out of the fridge, like out of the fridge door. And it makes me bananas that I can't do something else with my other hand. Like I can't just fill the water. Like I need to be doing something else. This takes like 30 seconds.
Although you did get called out that sometimes you use the big cup and just stick it in there and then forget about it.
I did.
And then
that's
water
the other
gets
thing.
on the floor.
Yeah, I'll put it in a big cup that'll like little like suction in there, and then I'll be like, what's that noise? I'm like, oh my God, that's water. Water spilling everywhere. But the group has just been such a really beautiful, freeing thing to laugh at other people that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not just me. I'm not like, I don't mind being quirky and different and when at my moments, but it's nice to know that those things that make you feel like a little brain broken is not you. And like having that one I posted about yoga, like it's hard, and I get down and gotta make sure the mat's straight and it doesn't feel straight. And is the mat straight? Is there something on my mat? Am I breathing right? Blah, blah, blah. Like all those things. It's super conscientious or conscious to quiet your mind and be present. And the people commenting were like, oh my God, it's bananas. And I was like, I am with people that get me.
And it is,
it's been very
and how
joyous.
to think about certain things as a strength, right? And I think it's funny because I feel like a lot of the memes, right, with ADD are all about, oh, there's a squirrel, blah, but like, and we've talked about, I have inattentive ADD, so I don't have the hyper anxiety as much as I do just trouble. I literally just procrastinate on things forever, and I really have to consciously motivate myself. And once I get started, it's fine. But it's also just learning the key times for me were learning like everyone is late to things, and that it's because you don't properly, like everything is 5 minutes away. Like you don't properly account for time.
Oh,
and especially with certain things about one of the things in the group that I really liked, somebody posted, I mean, not as much of a funny meme, but something about like, on one hand, people hate to take medication, but on the other hand, like think about it as non-ADHD people get these drugs for free, but our brains don't produce them. So we can take them and level out. And sometimes you find out you're ADD because you all go to a party and take Adderall and it just calms you down and makes you normal instead of making you weird, which was another meme in that group.
My cousin had given it to me because I was like, I want to try this, but I got, my therapist doesn't prescribe. And I was like, I go to the doctor appointment, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, here, try this. So I'm texting her and I'm asking her questions. I was like, okay, I took a little bit here, but I got a headache and I felt focused at this time, but I feel like at this time I couldn't sleep. And I'm like a litany of questions. And she was like, oh, honey, I don't have ADHD. I just take it for fun. I was like, oh, you don't have any. And she's like, I don't have any answers for you. I was like, oh,
let me go to my group of memes.
Oh, yeah. I was like, head to the memes or maybe an actual doctor. Cause I was like asking her all questions. She was like, I have no idea what you're asking me. I was, no. I was like, oh, all right. Well, yeah. So it's been fun to know that being programmed differently is, you're not alone.
Not at all.
Again.
And some other people who like memes. So it's a win-win.
100%.
My super fave, honestly, is taking a vacation. And I just can't tell you enough. I mean, of course, I went and stayed with friends who were lovely. And it was the half anniversary, quote unquote, test trip, which went really well. But honestly, just I was able to like barf out work stuff at my boss before I left. I had to do a little on the plane to just like send an email of a brain dump. And then I honestly didn't think about work for multiple days in a row. And like, it's funny. My boyfriend is,
it's free,
is hourly. And he jokes like with salary, like you're never turned off. And it's kind of true. Not that I don't relax ever. And I'm certainly not as much on as other people are, for sure. But, we've talked about, I do have the flexibility, right? I'm going to the user group tomorrow, or I went to a funeral today. So yes, I did do some work at 8:00 at night because I want to get things done. And I'm committed to deadlines and certain things, but I have that flexibility. And so it was really nice to take a vacation. And I know it's hard sometimes to feel like there's never a good time, or you're financially, it's not the greatest idea or whatever, but just like not being at work and not being somewhere you have to do stuff. Like, I'm really happy it worked out nicely of like, we had ideas of stuff we wanted to do, but it was like day of game time decision. And we ended up changing our minds about some of the things because it was like, no, I don't want to spend money on that. Like, that doesn't sound fun anymore. So like, let's just sit here and order Postmates. Like, that's fine too, So
yes. We did do one thing that we texted about, which is putt-putt. So
yeah, and the arcade.
I feel like lately, the last few things I've done, like trip-wise, it's been that. It's been like, here's 5 things I'd like to do, and maybe you do one. But like no stressing out about it.
No pre-scheduled.
Like when Josh and I went to New York, there was like a pizza place we wanted to go to, a bar we wanted to go to, in the Color Factory. And the Color Factory is the only thing that worked out because it was closed. And it was like, okay, but I do. You're right. I like the game time decision. I also like when I'm on vacation, even though I love technology, I like when I open my laptop, it's for fun. Like whatever I'm opening it for, it's for fun. I'm not looking at an org or, an email.
So I totally love you. And I know we said we were not going to talk very much after the interview, but we've been talking a lot. But I also wanted to tell you that I went to get the link for pennycollector.org to share with you. And I discovered they have a store and they have freaking magnets and keychains that you can stick a smash penny in. It's a little turtle, a penguin, or a shark. And you stick the penny in it. And they have jewelry you can stick your pennies in. What is even happening? I just was going to look for a new book because I think I'm out. And the lady at the store didn't have any. And some of the books have a special penny in them. So less like a hobby, more like an addiction. I am here for it.
All right,
U.S. machine locations, you can look, and then internationally, you can look too. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We love you, LaRon. Stay witty.